Yo, what's up, everyone? Today I'm gonna try something a little bit different because I'm feeling a little tired. I don't think I can do a lot of critical thinking right now with some puzzles. So instead, we're gonna try doing Puzzle Rush, the survival mode. So I'm gonna start off. We're gonna start off with very beginner puzzles and work our way up to harder puzzles. In this puzzle format, or this Puzzle Rush format, I have 3 lives. So I'll be playing until I lose all 3 lives, and I'll talk through each of the puzzles that I run into and each of the motifs, if I can call them out, and just walk through the puzzles together. Let's go. Let's get into it. Okay, you can see my screen. There's no time limit, even though it kind of. I guess you can't really see, but it kind of shows not like it's not like Puzzle Rush where there's a time limit and you have to do a certain number of puzzles within like 3 minutes or 5 minutes. It's just the 3 lives. So this one, I'm just looking right away. This is like a back rank puzzle. The king is stuck in the back, and this pawn is protecting the square. So all we have to do here is find a piece that can check along this line, and here we have the rook. They're gonna block because that's the only move they can do, but it's still mate. This one is the same idea. The king is stuck along the back rank. Even though they have more material than us, that's kind of a cue, if anything, to tell us that it's a checkmate. So here we can slide our rook in. It will king. Their king doesn't have any squares left. Right now they only have this one. So if we move our rook down, it's going to be anchored by the pawn. That's one core idea as well. When you have pieces coming in, you always want them to be anchored by a piece or a pawn. So in this case, the pawn defends. That's mate. This one is another back rank. The easier puzzles are always like the back rank is always the quintessential beginner's puzzle. So here you can see that the king also has no squares to leave, and they're kind of stuck. So we just need a piece that attacks along this rank. Here we can give a check, and then this is mate. I think one thing to think about as well here is that during the game, it's good to have pieces in front of your king. Like imagining that we're white and like our king is like really protected here, but in a sense, because those pieces are in this case pawns take up that square, the king does not have space to use those squares, and this is how kings usually get suffocated. Here it's the same idea. Actually, this is like a back rank puzzle, but instead it's like a side rank because the king's on the side. But it's the same idea. The knight controls these squares. So and like I mentioned just now, their pawn takes away this square, so they actually can't escape. So imagining that there's a wall here, their king can't get through, and so we need a piece that just attacks down this file. So that's mate. This was the same idea. It's a back rank mate. This one is just using a queen instead of a rook, and this is introducing a hanging piece. So the rook is not defended. So we just take. It's the same mate. King can't get out because it's trapped by their own pawns. Still same idea with back rank for this one. This time the king is like not here, it's like here, so it's the same idea of it being stuck, but this time like against the edge of the board. It can't go out here, right? So now this is the only square, and now we just need a piece to um, attack the back rank. So queen here, they're gonna block, and our queen is gonna give mate. Same idea, like it's all back rank. In this case, for this puzzle, I guess at the very beginning it can't be a rook, but here the queen doesn't come into play. Like there's no diagonal that it needs to attack. All right, here is a non-back rank mate, but this is like pincer mate, I guess. I don't know what this is called. It's not. It's like kind of like a lolly mate. Here the bishop attacks this diagonal, right? Oops. And we want our queen to be here. If the queen is here, it would be mate because if you imagine this move, the queen is anchored by this bishop, and the queen is attacking all these squares, and the king can't go anywhere safe. So the idea is like, okay, how do we get our queen there? It would be like this, right? The only move that they like have, the only couple moves that they have is blocking with their queen like this. Let me show you. Oh, I guess that's it. But yeah, they only had to block with their queen or move their king, and mate is inevitable there. This one is like a scholar's mate. If you know the scholar's mate, if you don't know the scholar's mate, it's I explained it in my basics, chess basics and strategy video for beginners. Basically, it's using the bishop and queen to attack their f7 square. Same for the other way around on the black side. You can use this bishop and queen to attack f2 on the white side. Same idea, right? If you had a queen there. Here it's like a little bit, I mean, it's a little bit more complicated, but the same. Here, if you imagine I take, they have one square to move to because the queen attacks like this. So the king has one square. But then if you calculate one more move, the king is right here. The queen can now take this bishop because the bishop is not defended, and it would attack like this. The king has no squares, and then that would be mate. I'll show you here. So here you can see that nothing is defending this bishop, right? Before it was the king. It was like literally right here a second ago. Now that it's moved away. This is a very common mate as well. I don't know what this would be called. I don't think there's a name. Here, this is like kind of like a suffocate or smother mate. Same idea. This f7 square is usually very weak for black. Same with f2 for white. It's because if at the start of the game, if you reset all the pieces, I don't know. Can we see an example? Here, if we look at the board and all these pieces, every single piece is actually defended multiple times by, or maybe not multiple times. This one's only defended once, right? For the rook. This is defended once by the rook. This is defended once by the bishop. Oh yeah, I guess it isn't multiple times. Once by the rook, once by the bishop, once by the king. So this one's to pay attention to. This one's defended 3 times. Queen, king, and bishop. This one's defended 3 times as well. Same pieces. This one is defended once by the queen. This one's defended once. Oh no, also with the knight. Sorry, it's 4 times. Yeah. So these two are super defended. This is defended once by the queen. This is defended once by the bishop, and also once defended by the rook. So this one is the one that's most vulnerable for both sides because it's only defended by the king. And the king is a very vulnerable piece. So this square is something to pay attention to. It's also like kind of a motif. So we pay attention here to this square. You can see that this is a battery formed by the bishop and queen. So the bishop can attack and it's being anchored by the queen. So because this is only defended once, it would just be mate, and the king has nowhere to go to, right? I mentioned before that the king, like, it likes to be surrounded by pieces, but when you're getting checkmated or attacked, those pieces around you kind of take away the square that you want to get to run away. So in this case, even though it seems like, you know, black is doing something dangerous and you want to, the natural instinct, I feel like, is to take this piece, but it's better to just mate because the game will be over. Here, we can see that the queen's hanging, or not hanging, but it's, I guess it is hanging. Uh, is that the best move? Uh, let me see. Take here, and then that's hanging. And there's no back rank. So I guess that would be pretty good. So the queen's hanging, we'll take that. Just to calculate out loud, we'll take that. The rook comes in to trade. And then now they're actually threatening back rank checkmate because we also have an issue, right, with our back rank. We don't have space for a king to move up. So, but when we throw in a check here, we take with check. We're checking their king. Even if they block or move their king away, for instance, we're coming in here after all those trades happen. Their rook is hanging with check. So we take that rook and we no longer have a back rank issue and we would be up material. So we would basically be trading our rook for these two pieces and also the knight. So it would be a queen versus a rook and a bishop on their side, and also we'd be up a pawn or two pawns. So yeah, it'd be super winning. Remember how I said this is a check? Sorry, I went through that kind of fast. So yeah, this is a check. And then because this rook is not defended, we could just pick it up for free. So this one is also a back rank idea, but in this time it's like a side as well. This is a common theme when the kings are in opposition, like against each other. It kind of creates like, you remember like the wall of pawns that we saw. Where was that? Like here, like when the king is castled on this side and you have these three pawns in front of it, having a king in opposition kind of creates that pattern as well when the kings are opposing each other like this. So neither king can come into these squares that are like creating this wall. It's kind of like Trump. You want to build the wall type shit. Okay, so because of that, it actually creates a back rank or a side rank issue where this king can't come up. So all we need to do is find a piece to attack down this file. And we have a rook here, so it gets the job done. There's no more squares for the white king to move to. Okay, this is a pretty common motif as well. Our instinct, I think instinctually, we want to move our way or queen because it's getting attacked right now. But if we look at where our pieces are positioned, particularly this knight can come in and attack their king. Remember how knights attack, right? Like knights attack in can I open the board somewhere? Give me a sec. Is this it? Okay, you can kind of see. I turn off the analysis. Oh, it doesn't really matter. Just play random moves. So remember how a knight moves, right? A knight moves in like this L shape here. And that is something to think about, right? Because they can attack squares that are kind of like diagonal from each other, like this. It's like the shape. It helps to like remember this shape. To remember, it's kind of like I don't know. It's one way that I think about it is kind of like it's a sideways square. Like if we rotate like this computer screen like this, it's like a square in a way, but it's only like the sides of the square, not the edges. So going back to the puzzle, I know that's like super complicated, but going back to the puzzle, um, if you look at this knight, it can actually come in and attack the king. And if we think about the square, if the knight's here, the square is actually like this. Is it here? Oop, what's actually here? Yeah, so it would be attacking these squares if the knight was here. So that actually takes away the square for the king to escape at the same time because it's attacking these two squares, which is perfect because this square is defended by the queen and the rest of the squares are taken up by their pieces. So this is actually a main one puzzle. Even though instinctually your queen's getting attacked, you might want to take this pawn because it's free material, but there's something better than free material, and that's checkmate. This is a super common motif as well, especially in chess.com puzzles. I feel like beginner puzzles, this is like a pretty common repeat pattern, which is basically like it's a back rank issue, but you kind of have to push the king into like the corner and also sack your queen. I think it's hard to think about because it's hard to think that you want to sack your queen for a rook because material wise, queen is worth 9 points, rook is worth 5. But in this case, because you're delivering checkmate, like it doesn't really matter that you're giving away pieces, you're gonna win the game, right? So here I'm checking the king. The only move to go to is this corner, which is what they do. And again, if the puzzle was to start from here, right, you would know, or you could think about the fact that like the queen and rook create a battery and can attack this square multiple times to try to back rank checkmate the king, which is what we're trying to do. Like they're forced to take. There's no other move, right? It's take or mate. So if the puzzle was to start here, it's very obvious it's a back rank checkmate idea, right? Because the king is not, this rook is hanging and the king is stuck in the corner. It's just a matter of transforming this position from the very beginning by pushing the king away and then leading to the same checkmate. Okay, so here it gets a little bit more complicated, it seems like, because there are more pieces. One thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is that this bishop is hanging, and there's a saying that goes loose pieces drop off. So what happens? What happens if we take, right, to expose this attack? Now, if we take, and even if they take back, right, like our knight, I think this is something to see, something that takes practice to see. Our knight, by moving to the square, actually also defends this bishop. If it weren't doing that, then it wouldn't be a move, right? Like this wouldn't make sense because that exposes this piece and even our rook coming in to attack our queen if our knight can't actually come back to take. But because it's a knight and it moves like that, it's a safe move to do. And if they don't do that, then they just lose this piece because it's not defended. So we would get 2 for 1. So what do they do? Exactly what I just said, which is basically like we have to notice at this point in time, our knight actually moves back to take the piece. Otherwise, even if their rook wasn't here, if we take back with the queen, we just lose our knight, right? Because now that this piece is hanging. So we have to utilize the piece that we just moved away to take this piece that just moved to capture our piece. Okay, next puzzle. Let's see. So one thing that I'm noticing a couple things. I'm noticing that I'm attacking this knight with our queen, and I'm also noticing if I take this pawn with my pawn, their bishop is actually pinned because our rook is spying down, and if this bishop moves, we would take the queen. We would take their queen. Um, they can give a check. It's possible. Like let's say if I take uh, check, I take with the king. It's fine because this this rook is actually defended by our rook and also our queen. So even if they were to, like, let's say discover attack our rook, it doesn't matter because it's defended. Another thing that I noticed is that if we take the pawn, we're actually discovering attack on their knight, which is only defended once right now. They can move their bishop away to defend one more time. Um, I think that's the only way they could defend one more time. But again, they can't move their bishop because of the pin. So I think that's the tactic here. Oh, that's just it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This looks like the exact same idea as what we talked about before in terms of like the back rank issue. Um, we just have to move the king over to like create the back rank for that attack to work. So I think instinctively, there's the option of like thinking about like, oh, this, like, what is the difference between like queen takes and bishop takes? I think bishop takes might be like a consideration if we weren't down material. You can see here that we're actually down the exchange. We both have 4 pieces, but they have a rook and we have like a knight for their rook. So that's one hint that kind of tells us that like, oh, okay, like taking with the bishop might not lead to something concrete because the attack, like if we count a little bit, if we calculate a little bit down the road, if they take, they just move over, and then we don't have any more checks. We can take their rook, right? But our queen is hanging. Remember, we have to see the threats of the position. Um, so here we take in order to push their king away. And here it's the same idea as one of the puzzles we saw earlier in terms of like forcing this like this back rank checkmate by using a battery along the file and them only having one adequate defender or inadequate number of defenders. So here you can see that like if the puzzle started here, the move would be pretty obvious, right? But you just have to like formulate or conjure up the checkmate by sacrificing your queen, which seems like an unnatural move, but it works because the square f8 is inadequately defended by the opponent. Um, okay. I think this is just a mate in 2 because they moved away. So first of all, this is one thing to kind of notice is what squares does their king have to move, right? Like what squares are our pieces attacking? Now you can see here that our bishops are super strong. It's actually spying down on all the squares around their king. And the only square that's not being attacked is the one that the king is on. So if we think about it that way, like how can we attack that square one more time? It's with our queen. And it just so happens their queen just moved away from this square, which is actually defending that mate. So you can see here that like, yeah, our attack is overwhelming. This is mate. Let's see here. I think same idea as before. We have to kind of see where their king can move, right? Um, right now, the only thing, the only way they can move is here because their pawn is blocking the king from moving, and our bishop is spying down on this light square. So it would be really great if we had like a dark square bishop, right, along this diagonal, just like attacking. Then it would kind of seem like it's mate, like they can only block with pieces. So our queen can actually play that role of the dark square bishop because it attacks diagonals. So if we go here, they must block because there's no other way to stop mate. They block with their rook and then we checkmate them. Oh, okay, that's nice. Here, same idea. Very similar idea. I think instinctively you want to trade, but even better, the king is exposed through this diagonal. This diagonal is actually a very common entry point to attack their king, especially if they played like f6 or f5. In white's case, f3 or f4. It exposes the diagonal to attacks in both ways. So in this case, our queen looks pretty juicy in that diagonal. What what defenses do they have? Yeah, they can push the pawn and that's it, right? So there's nothing else. So you gotta hold on to your reflexes to take, and you gotta look for a better move. I think there's a saying that someone said. I don't know who said stuff. I don't know history, but I know the quote is like, "Oh, once you find a good move, find an even better move." So this is where that kind of applies. Okay, this looks like a mate puzzle as well. Gotta find like candidate moves and see where the king can move, right? Right now the king can move uh these two squares and also it can stay. So if I brought it in to check, that'll actually take away these squares. And that looks like it would allow a back rank mate. Yeah. So it's kind of like the same idea. Let me show you. So here, um, the knight attacking these two squares kind of imitates like the three pawns. You remember the three pawns that I always mention um, here? When you castle or something and you have those three pawns in front of you, the knight plays the same role in terms of the king not being able to go into those squares. The three musketeers, the three triplets, the three dots of something. I don't know. But here, yeah, the three triplets kind of come into play and blocks the king from like escaping. Now, if the king went to here, you could see that you could either of these could checkmate, but because the king went here specifically, you have to use this one to checkmate because like this just hangs the rook, right? The rook just gets taken by the king. So this would be checkmate. Let's see. I'm doing this in real time, so I don't know the solution right away, so be patient with me. Here, the first thing I see is okay, okay, doing a double threat. One thing that you should notice pretty shortly is that okay, the queen is actually spying this rook by discover attack. Discover attack meaning like if I move this pawn away, I'm attacking their rook and it's not defended. This piece is loose because it's not defended by anything. If I do that, they could move away their rook, but that means that if my pawn moves away, now I'm pinning their queen, right? And their queen can't move away because it's pinned to their king. So we would essentially be trading like a rook for a queen if they choose to move their rook. This wouldn't be the case if like my rook wasn't defended. Let's say like this rook disappeared for some reason. Like I can't move that far, but because if you imagine that line where where I move this, they move their rook, and then I take, my rook would be hanging, and they could just take my rook for free, and with check too. So here it is the fact that my rook is defended, and their rook is hanging that allows this tactic to work. So here then, yeah, they just lose a rook for free. Again, if they chose to move their rook, right, instead of taking this, I would just take their pawn, either pawn, it doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, we would take their queen next turn. So here they just choose to lose their rook. This is a pretty common pattern as well. I think instinctively you want to calculate something like takes, and then they take back, and then somehow like the rook comes in and comes into play. But there's actually mate in one because the queen can move over here. When the queen moves over here, you can see that their king is kind of smothered. There's no piece to block. Like you would wish, like imagine the queen being here. You will wish that you had a rook to like come in and cover here, right? But there's no piece to do that, and the king has nowhere to move because it's just stuck. So here, imagine the queen being here, and it attacks these squares, and it's over. Okay, let's see. First thing I'm noticing is check. I don't think it does anything though. Check, move here, or even block. Block and then take. Okay, so blocking wouldn't work. Block, if they block, I take here. They have to take back, and I win their queen like this, so it would be up a piece. So what would they do instead? I guess they would move over. And what does that do? Dang, I don't think I can calculate that fast. If I could, this would be a better video, so I guess I'd have to cut out the pauses where I'm thinking. So here, what is there? Is there something better? Oh, it's the same idea. Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's the same idea. Like, no matter what, you just take the bishop, and then their queen is hanging. I was thinking about something like this pin right here. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe the knight moves away to expose this, but like there's nowhere where the knight can move that's substantial to like allow bishop takes with the rook hanging as well afterwards, like this, where you can like win something substantial. You know what I mean? So it's just this. Okay, next. Looking for a back rank. Is there anything here? Oh my god, wait. There's no way that's it. Or even, no. Okay. Could it be that? Here, take. Here, take, push? No way. Okay, I didn't think this would be it because this is like a 1300 puzzle, but that seems pretty hard for a 1300 puzzle. But it seems forcing. Take there. Yeah, so this is like a past. I guess if this is right, then this is a pass pawn idea. We're stacking the queen because we're gonna promote this pawn. Right now, the rook is only being defended by the pawn. So we have to, once they take, our pawn is actually free to push up. And their queen is not really attacking our rook or anything, so, and there's no checks. So that allows us to get like a free quiet move, I guess. Um, there are no immediate threats from white. It's important for us to also give this check first, because by giving this check, it makes the king move away from this promotion square. If we did not do that and we just took right away, take back, push with check, like this, they could just block with their king. But in this case where we check them first, they move, we take, then they take, we push. Imagine our pawn being here and these pieces being off the board. Our pawn is just here. Their king is right here, so they cannot stop it in time. With our pawn coming in like this and wanting to advance, their queen cannot defend this square either or come in and block the promotion. They can only like attack this square. So it looks like that's it. Okay, yeah. So just to illustrate what I just said, yeah, that seems pretty hard for a 1300. What the hell? Yeah, now when you push, like their queen can't stop it. And yeah, we just promote for free. If you can imagine, like, oh, maybe we can like trade now to stop this promotion from happening, but then we just take with our queen and we're up a queen, right? They just lost the piece. So if they don't take back, we'll just be up a piece for nothing. So this is forcing. Okay. Again, this looks like this piece is hanging, like this just off the bat, but I want to focus my attention here to see if there's a mate to give. Um, I think one thing to notice is like, okay, this would be mate, right? If my queen somehow could teleport here, it would take over these squares and the king would be basically smothered, as if this was the edge of the board, you know? So my thought is like, okay, how can I get there in time? So in order to get more time, moves are usually checks, right? Because checks require, like, it's a forcing move. The king, like, they must respond to the check by doing something with the check, like either moving the king, blocking the check, something like that, right? So there's two checks that I see that are not immediately giving away material. The giving away material ones would be here and here. Excuse me. And there are two that don't give away material, which is these two. Now one looks better than the other. This one looks wrong because if we go here, you gotta look for ways that your opponent can defend. So here they would defend like this, and their queen is protecting their pawn. So that would not be right. So in this variation where we go here, there's no pieces that can block this check. Whereas this one, they can block with their pawn. Oh, that's it. Okay. Can I go back real quick? Yeah, so yeah, if they come here, in this one, it's just immediately checkmate. That's their only move. Okay, next one. Let's see. Gotta think. Okay, I think I see it. So immediate moves that come into my mind are like checks, right? Like, oh, what can I do coming in here? But just by looking at that, you can see that those moves don't work. If the knight's coming here, these knights are defending those two squares. But one thing to see is how knights move and what forks knights can do. Knights can, like, this this check right here attacks their king and knight, But what happens if I actually take something with take their knight with one of my pieces? They're forced to take back, and then I have this fork where the king has to move. And there's nothing else defending the square, right? It's just the knight. So that's the tactic here. Let me see. What would other people... What do I think people usually play here? I can't see any other things that I think people may play. I mean, there's this check over here, so you gotta do something about that. There's this threat. So yeah, this is just the... I think the knight moves here are like probably instinctive moves, but this is the tactic. All right, let's see. So first thing I'm noticing right away is this check right here. Does that matter? Yeah, that does come into play in the puzzle. And the second check that I'm noticing is here. I was calculating first, like, because I saw this check first. Something like this. Like discover check, we lose our knight. And then we could probably check down, but then they move back with their knight like this. So protecting their king, that's right here. So that would not amount to anything. But if we give a check first, that actually defends our knight, and that gives their king only one square to move to, which actually gives us an easier time to calculate. If I calculate that, here, which way do I want to check? I think I want to check here with the knight so that it takes away these two squares. So afterwards, the king is forced to come here. Is this right? Check here, check. This bishop attacks this diagonal, and this knight attacks these two squares, so the king must come here. What's the continuation from there? What the hell? This is not right. Oh wait, this knight already defends this square, so I don't need this knight to defend this square again. So does that mean that this square is better? Okay, let's calculate again. Here. Oh wait, it can't even come here. Oh my god, I'm dumb. Okay, yeah. So just going back to that one real quick. Oops. Yeah, this knight protects these two squares, so this is literally a back rank mate. No, I mean the knight can come in to block, but yeah, that doesn't work. It's like the Three Musketeers, except we have to defend one musketeer that's given. Okay, this video is actually getting like kind of long, so I'm just gonna stop right here. I'll do the rest of the puzzles on my own, but yeah, I hope you learned something from these videos. I'll see you next time. Before I leave, I'm trying to make more educational video and educational content, like with chess motifs, chess, I guess, tactics, things like that. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments if you would like some sort of motifs specifically. I plan on making some more, but just let me know in the comments. I plan on doing like checkmate patterns and motifs like forks, pins, and stuff like that. I don't have any plans on what order I'll do them in, but just let me know. All right, see you next time.